A remarkable milestone in the refugee resettlement program in the San Diego community who's leading the way.
I grew to love the kids and love teaching them, not just academics, but socially, how to be productive citizens.
A passion for helping young minds grow. Meet the teacher who found his calling in special education.
We're actually not looking for somebody from the beer industry.
A changing of the guard for a San Diego beer icon, the executive who will be taking over the reins of Stone Brewing. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. Congressman Darrell Issa is locked in an unusually tight race for re-election. It has some people speculating whether the Republican is being hurt by the unpopularity of Donald Trump in Southern California. KPBS Steve Walsh caught up with the congressman at a congressional tour of NASCO Shipyard.
A new poll out this week by Strategies 360 shows that Congressman Darrell Issa has a narrow lead over his relatively unknown Democratic challenger, retired Marine Colonel Doug Applegate. The numbers have raised speculation nationally over whether or not voters are reacting to Issa's support for Donald Trump.
Well, I think there's a disconnect between the top of the ticket in my district, and there should be. I've held both Republican and Democratic presidents accountable.
Issa appeared at a Trump rally back in May. Despite Trump's weak showing in California, Issa says he's not pulling back on his support.
So I'm not putting any distance. I always knew I was going to campaign for somebody I believed in. That was Marco Rubio. But I also knew I was going to vote for one of the 17 people up on that dais.
Issa is best known for his tenure running the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, where he held the initial hearings on Benghazi and the failed gun sting Fast and Furious. These days, he's more interested in talking about immigration reform and his continued support for the North American Free Trade Agreement, which, of course, Trump continues to criticize. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
Donald Trump campaigned in Ohio today, a day after delivering a hardline speech on immigration in Arizona Wednesday night.
We are going to end catch and release. We catch them? Oh, go ahead. We catch them? Go ahead. Under my administration, anyone who illegally crosses the border will be detained until they are removed out of our country and back to the country from which they came.
For weeks, Trump flirted with the self-described softening of his stance on immigration, meeting just hours before with Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto, but his fiery speech indicates that isn't the case. Trump also says he would immediately force out immigrants living in the country illegally who have committed crimes, as well as expel people who have overstayed their visas. An incredible milestone for a program aimed at helping Syrian refugees find new homes. The U.S. hit its target of taking in 10,000 of them. Many families are starting over here. Tonight, we follow one of those families, picking up the pieces in El Cajon.
This family is from war-torn Syria. They're getting a new start in El Cajon, and they're being greeted with familiarities, with places like the Harvest International Market. In Arabic, the father speaks of the violence his family was able to escape. Every day they heard bombs, he says. They were so scared. Now they're learning English at the International Rescue Committee office.
Many Syrians are coming to San Diego because San Diego is a welcoming community. There is already an established community that lives here that speaks Arabic. There are Syrians that live and work here, and we are finding that the Syrian community has been reaching out and helping us with the resettlement process.
International Rescue Committee is one of 9 organizations helping Syrian refugees settle in the U.S. Executive Director David Murphy says refugees are typically assigned to cities where they have family or friends. If that's not an option, then advocates place them where there's an established community of immigrants who share their culture. San Diego has received 626 Syrian refugees since October 1st, more than any other city in the U.S. Murphy says Syrian refugees feel welcomed in El Cajon. Here, there are store signs in Arabic, merchant, bank tellers, and teachers who speak the language. The next step for this family? The children will be enrolled in school, and they'll need a permanent home, a place to try to recover from the death and violence they escaped.
There's a new deal on transportation and clean energy projects between lawmakers in Sacramento and Governor Jerry Brown. The price tag adds up to nearly $1 billion. The deal was struck last night with just hours left in the year's legislative session. It would spend $900 million from California's cap and trade program. The largest portion of the money will go towards lowering vehicle emissions. Local rail projects and grants for low-income communities also receive more than $100 million each. Some lawmakers argue not enough of that cap and trade money will go towards California's ongoing natural disaster, millions of dead trees. About $40 million will be redirected from the program to CAL FIRE. Experts estimate that since 2010, 66 million trees have died, causing a high wildfire risk. The high tree mortality recently prompted Governor Jerry Brown to declare a state of emergency. State agencies are working to remove the trees, but low funding has made the work slow.
Every dollar counts, and so while this amount is not the amount that was initially proposed in the budget, this is a huge step forward for us into being able to make sure our forests are healthier.
CAL FIRE was the state agency receiving the smallest slice of the funding coming from the cap and trade program. Stone Brewing has hired a new CEO. Dominic Ingalls comes to San Diego's top craft brewer from Palm Wonderful, where he was president. He doesn't have much experience with beer, but Stone's co-founder Greg Cook, who is currently CEO at least for a few more days, says that's not important.
We're actually not looking for somebody from the beer industry. We understand beer. We got that part down pretty well. We're looking for somebody with additional business experience that they can bring to the equation.
Cook says Ingalls will help guide Stone Brewing as it grows. Meanwhile, it will be promoted to executive chairman. San Diego's economic growth may slow a bit in the next few months. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson says the region's index of leading economic indicators fell for the third straight month in July.
The index tracks 6 significant measures of the region's economic activity. University of San Diego economist Alan Ginn says how those sectors perform gives him insight on where the local economy is heading in coming months. He says the overall index dipped 0.1% in July, but he's not sure that decline is significant.
The July number was not very significant. It was only down 0.1%, and interestingly, it was a result of 2 of the 6 components being down sharply. The other 4 were positive, so there were more up components than down components.
Building permits and help wanted advertising were both down sharply. He says local stock prices in the view of the national economy were up. Ginn says consumer confidence climbed and there was a decline in unemployment claims. He says the 6-month outlook is mixed. He expects job growth to occur, but slower, and he expects the economy's overall growth rate to shrink. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
San Diegans are stretched thinner than residents in other cities. That's the conclusion of a new study released by the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. The study looked at how far the median income in San Diego goes to pay for necessities like housing and taxes. San Diego ranks 9th out of 10 cities studied in terms of affordability. They're stepping up their game to keep the Chargers in San Diego.
You know, I think we should all support Prop C because it's more than football. It's about the future.
The Yes on C committee, which is funded by the Chargers, launched its first TV ad today. It supports a downtown stadium and convention center expansion. The ad comes after a series of unfavorable reports on the plan from the city's independent budget analyst, the County Taxpayer Association, and the Tourism Marketing District. A poll released last week showed 39% of likely voters plan to vote yes on the measure. It will most likely need 2/3 majority approval. At Qualcomm tonight, he plans on taking a stand by sitting down. The protest by San Francisco 49ers Colin Kaepernick could be met with more controversy before the kickoff. He sat down during the national anthem over the weekend. He says he was speaking out against the oppression of African Americans and police brutality. Tonight, the Chargers are hosting their annual salute to the military. San Diego Congressman Duncan Hunter says he knows what will happen with Kaepernick's sit-down protest in San Diego during an ESPN podcast.
There are a lot of things that are going on that are unjust, people aren't being held accountable for, and that's something that needs to change. That's something that, this country stands for: freedom, liberty, justice for all. And it's not happening for all right now.
And I can tell you what to expect, and it's a whole lot of boos. It's a whole lot of negative reaction for Kaepernick, whether or not he has the right to do it, whether or not this is the right venue. He's not going to be well liked.
Navy officers will perform the national anthem while hundreds of military personnel will hold the so-called U.S. super flag. Cal State San Marcos is celebrating the grand opening of its first venue for indoor sporting events. KPBS reporter Kenny Goldberg says the Sports Center could be a game changer for the university.
The Sports Center will be the new home court for the Cal State San Marcos volleyball and basketball teams, and it couldn't come at a better time. With 15,000 students, enrollment at this school is at an all-time high, and the athletic teams are eager to play in front of their home crowd. Samantha Flores is on the women's volleyball team.
It's going to be completely different. I mean, we're going to have this support, this intimate support that we haven't had before, because we had to play at a high school or, different gyms. And now this is our crowd, it's our home, and it's our facility.
The Cougars athletic director, Jennifer Milo, says a home court advantage isn't only important for athletes,
but it's important for students to have that student life element so that they're not just getting in their car and going to class and going home. They can now take part in intercollegiate athletic events on our campus, and it creates a sense of pride on our campus.
The Sports Center seats 1,400 people for volleyball and basketball games. The $11.4 million facility was funded by a combination of student fees and philanthropy. Kenny Goldberg, KPBS News.
Audi, Lexus, Prius models top the list of parent-friendly vehicles when it comes to keeping kids safe. A new ranking from the insurance industry says these brands have cars with the easiest to use anchors for child seats. The U.S. has required backseat anchors since 2012. The idea is they help ensure that child seats are mounted properly. Ford Fiesta, Infiniti Q70 were among the worst performers. A major setback for space travel, a massive explosion at a launch pad in Florida. It destroyed a SpaceX rocket and a satellite set by Facebook to spread the internet service to Africa. The fire erupted during the fueling of the rocket. It's the same kind of SpaceX rocket used to launch supplies to the International Space Station in July. NASA hopes the private company can ultimately take astronauts to space. For the first time ever, the U.S. is going to send a spacecraft to intercept and collect samples from an asteroid and return to Earth with them. AP reporter Alex Saz says NASA is expecting to launch next week.
For scientists, it's an ages-old mystery, our origins. Now, a new NASA mission in the search for answers. The target, the near-Earth asteroid Bennu.
Asteroids are the building blocks of our solar system. So we want to understand how the solar system formed, what the materials are, and how we can better understand life on Earth, how it formed and created, and where we're going.
Just after Labor Day, an Atlas V rocket will send the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft on a 2-year journey toward Bennu. It's a first for the United States, collecting and returning to Earth an asteroid sample.
Essentially, it's a time capsule that's 4.5 billion years old, And from that, we hope to be able to obtain information about our own solar system, or about our own planet and other planets, to see if there are similarities so that we can better understand how things were put together.
In 2018, OSIRIS-REx will begin a detailed survey of Bennu, mapping out potential sample collection sites. A year or so later, using an 11-foot arm, it'll make contact with it, collecting up to 4.5 pounds of rocks and soil. It requires precision. OSIRIS-REx is the size of an SUV. Bennu is far taller. It's taller than some of the world's landmarks, and wider.
The asteroid itself is of a type that is unusual, and we don't really know what it's made out of. Whether it's got a lot of carbon, maybe it's got a lot of water-bearing minerals. I think those would be really exciting things to find.
OSIRIS-REx is part of NASA's New Frontiers program. Other missions are exploring Pluto and Jupiter.
If you look at them collectively, we're increasing our fundamental knowledge of where we live. You know, the Earth we live on, the solar system we live in, and the universe at large. OSIRIS-REx is a really exciting mission.
OSIRIS-REx returns after its 7-year journey in 2023, giving scientists a window into the earliest days. Late in the 22nd century, the asteroid itself could come dangerously close to Earth. Alex Sands, The Associated Press, Huntsville, Alabama.
Temperatures are expected to drop across San Diego this weekend, but dry, windy conditions have prompted a fire weather warning. Regina Miller has that in tonight's forecast.
Well, it's pretty quiet here as we look across California. We have a few clouds that are just streaming across northern zones. As you head eastward, there's some showers and storms around the Four Corners region, but not seeing anything back here. In fact, tonight we're just going to see in metro areas temperature of 66 degrees. We will have some increasing clouds as we head towards morning. Taking a look at the forecast around San Diego County, we're going to see a temperature of 75 in Mecca, and we'll have just a mostly clear sky. Mount Laguna at 52 degrees, and to Oceanside will be at 65 degrees, and in Chula Vista we are going to see some increasing clouds, a temperature of 65 degrees there as well. Now here's what we're looking at as we head into your Friday. It's going to be hot in the interior locations, but along the coast going to be comfortably cool. So as we go into the weekend then, looks as though we're going to see a little bit of that cooler air making its way a little bit farther interior, so looking pretty nice here as we head into the weekend. So taking a look at the forecast for the coast for your Friday, temperature of 75 degrees. We'll have some clouds, then sunshine, turning sunny on Saturday at 73. Very nice, comfortable. And for Sunday, we'll have low clouds giving way to some sun, low clouds, then sun on Monday and on Tuesday. Temperature Monday 72, 74 on Tuesday. As we take a look inland, we're going to be in the mid-80s for your Friday, mostly sunny skies. We'll have fog giving way to some sunshine on Saturday with a temperature of 81. Notice that we're going to see the temperatures falling back into the upper 70s on Monday, turning out mostly sunny and plenty of sunshine on Tuesday, and a little warmer at 81 degrees. In the mountains, we're going to see a mostly sunny sky on Friday, a temperature of 79 degrees. Overnight lows falling back into the 40s. As we go through the remainder of the forecast here, we'll be in the low to mid 70s for the end of the weekend, and into the early part of the week starts to warm up some on Tuesday, 77 degrees with plenty of sunshine. In the desert, we'll have a temperature of 105 on Friday, mostly sunny and warm. Saturday, plenty of sunshine and 100 degrees. We do fall back to 94, so feeling a little bit better as we go into Monday. Plenty of sunshine in the forecast for Monday, and on Tuesday, we're going to see plenty of sunshine as well. Starts to warm back up into the upper 90s once again. I'm Regina Miller, KPBS News.
Coming up on the fall ballot, the vote on the death penalty. KPBS explores the debate next week during a live town hall meeting. You can hear from experts on both sides of the debate. For more information and to RSVP, visit kpbs.org/townhall. A major expansion and modernization of the Miramar water treatment plant got underway today with a groundbreaking ceremony. The $114 million project will allow the plant to store an additional 6 million gallons of water. The Miramar water treatment plant began operation in 1962. It provides drinking water to an estimated 500,000 customers in northern San Diego. Starting tomorrow, parking rules in the city's Gaslamp corridor will start changing. On Friday and Saturday nights, there will be no parking on 5th Avenue between Broadway and Harbor Drive. The spots will be converted to 3-minute passenger loading zones. City Councilman Todd Gloria says the initiative was suggested by residents and business owners.
Anyone who has been to the Gaslamp on a weekend evening knows that parking is pretty much impossible to find on 5th Avenue. It's typically pretty gridlocked down here, which makes it very difficult for those driving their cars, trying to take a taxi or a ride-sharing company, pedestrians, even for some of our police officers that are working so hard to keep everyone very safe.
There will be a grace period until the end of the month where violators will be issued a warning. After that, they'll get a ticket. You might have heard this statistic. Half of all teachers quit within 5 years. Special ed teachers are twice as likely as their coworkers to leave the profession. So we're following a brand new special ed teacher this year to see how things go. KPBS education reporter Megan Burks introduces him.
This group and the third group.
Meet Elijah Gonzalez.
Can I see those one more time?
He's young, easy to miss in a room of high school students if it weren't for his thick beard. He's the kind of guy teenagers would want to talk to. Here he is fielding questions from his general ed homeroom kids about the tattoo on his forearm. It's 3 linked hearts with symbols inside.
This actually represents my sisters. So my 2 older sisters and myself. Just the firstborn, secondborn, thirdborn. Yeah. So I'm from Chicago. I grew up in Humboldt Park. It's a predominantly Puerto Rican community on the west side of Chicago.
Gonzalez is 27 and moved to San Diego this summer to teach special education at Thrive Charter School in Rolando. The new school serves 7th through 9th graders and will become a full-fledged high school in the coming years. Gonzalez is just getting started, too. He graduated with an industrial engineering degree.
When I graduated, I was looking for jobs in my field in industrial engineering. I wasn't getting a lot of traction with the interviews. You needed it was entry-level positions, but with 30 years experience, and I had no experience yet.
Then the student loan bills started arriving. So Gonzalez took a friend's offer to work as a special ed aide at a Chicago middle school.
And I grew to love the kids and love teaching them. Not just academics, but socially, how to be productive citizens. And I felt that was really missing. And it was a predominantly Latino community, so I was really familiar with that. And I just realized how much they needed a role model.
So Gonzalez took the leap and became a special ed teacher. But that's not the end of his story. There are a few challenges ahead. First, Gonzalez arrived in the classroom by way of Teach for America. The nonprofit recruits people from outside the education world to help solve teacher shortages in low-income communities. They get their credentials on the job. Teach for America has been criticized because many of its teachers drop out after their 2-year stint. After all, they're heading into some of the nation's most challenging schools with limited training under their belts. And Gonzalez is arguably heading into the most challenging teaching gig. Special ed teachers experience the same stress and low pay as their general ed counterparts. Plus, they have to manage special learning plans for each of their students. It's estimated special ed teachers spend only about 20% of their days doing what they love, helping young minds develop. And a third thing, the system for helping students with special needs is laden with minefields right now. The state and federal governments are urging school districts to include those students in general ed classes. Districts and parents are trying to make that happen, but there are a lot of disagreements.
If you guys have an idea for the name too, then throw it in there.
But on Gonzalez's first day of school, those challenges are far from his mind. His focus is on his students.
I hope they want to come back. That's the big thing, that they feel like they can build a community here, like this is going to be a good school, that they're excited for the year, and that they're looking forward to tomorrow.
We'll be back throughout the year to see what lessons we can learn from his experience. Teach for America, for instance, has made strides in ensuring its first-year teachers are supported. And Gonzalez's school, Thrive, might offer some lessons, too. It's using the method many schools are transitioning to for special education. In the meantime, here's an unexpected lesson from Gonzalez's efforts to make his students feel welcome. Turns out Bob Marley, not so cool anymore.
Are you going to put that Jamaican guy again?
Yeah, the Jamaican guy, Bob Marley.
Megan Burks, KPBS News.
Video journalist Nick McVicker helped produce that story.
I'm Gwen Eiffel on the next News Hour, making sense of Hillary Clinton's trade policies. A report from Ohio. That's Thursday on the PBS News Hour.
If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it.
A wonderful world of chocolate back on the silver screen. This weekend, the AMC 20 Theater in Mission Valley will host a special screening of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory as a tribute to actor Gene Wilder, who died last Sunday. The theater will also show Wilder's comedy, Blazing Saddles. Here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, an experiment to save the Delta smelt that appears to be working. And it doesn't take away water from the Central Valley farmers. And on Roundtable, San Diego Unified is offering preschool for all kids. That is, if they can afford it. Tune in tomorrow at 12:30 on KPBS Radio. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.